it. All right. I'm a little nervous still about this. Darn it. Probably gonna have to stop this because boom, boom. No, okay, I did that pretty fast. All right, was gonna start with the calendar here. I think I'm taping. I got my NASA shirt, so I'm keeping my face in the corner there, annoyingly. All right, so just looking at the calendar here, of course, to put our heads in the right spot, we do have a quiz/test, or is it a quiz? Is it a test? Let's call it a quizam. Nice. Let's make up a new word because I don't really care. It's going to be like 50 points or something like that. I think that's what all of our stuff has been randomly this semester. So I'll just keep it right on there. It's right around the same time frame of material compared to our last test, so it's pretty good. Okay, and then I went, because I knew this could be problematic, I guess I'll start doing this the rest of the way. I'm not highlighting. I know there's someone in this class that asked me, can you highlight those? No, it's enabling you to read a calendar, right? And then actually it kind of scares me. Have you been doing the homework on a daily basis? Math is a ladder. If you don't do this wrong, then you can't get up to this wrong, and that's what's happening with a lot of people. And I had a big speech with my math tours. They had a very similar test because they're on trig like you guys, and it pretty much is all or nothing if you know this trig or not, and that's what's going to happen with the grade. Your grade is going to go in as is. There are no retakes. I told them, you know what the test is? The test is testing yourself by doing these and doing these and doing these and doing them appropriately. And then if you do have questions, come and ask me. And those are book assignments. The back of the book has the answers, so you can test yourself. Have you done those correctly? And if you haven't, come and see me in the hour and 40 minutes, 4 days a week that I'm available. Boy, that's a lot, right? And then here's homework number 5. So anyway, just to go through the calendar, looking at that. And this was from another teacher who kindly put a key along with this. All right, so there should be no, if you don't turn in your homework tomorrow, it's a 0. And of course, at Lockport, that turns into a 45%. Anyway, here's the optional. And actually, I put here, do not turn this in. You know, if some people were ready for this test here. Actually, a majority of you were probably ready. You probably should have already done it. But just making sure last minute, anyone that's lagging behind on this stuff will give you one more chance to pick this stuff up. Uh-oh. Am I not, what's going on? I'm nervous. Am I doing something wrong? I can't even get to the meets. Okay, here we go. Sorry, this is on the, I just heard I get nervous when there's a comment. It might be that I'm screwing up. Oh, you guys can't hear me? Can you hear me? Yes or no? Oh, okay. Goodness gracious. Natalie, you scared me. All right. Sorry. Okay. Aiden goes, unfortunately, I can hear him. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say unfortunately. Hey, don't look at my email. What are you doing? All right. This was Samuelson Technology. All right. So over the past 2 days, all my complaining, like it seemed like about people coming in. Actually, people have come in. Some on their own. Very nice. Awesome. And then some we did the pact thing. And I think something useful going over with them, I'm going to go over with you. And someone in this room might know what I'm talking about. So this worksheet was from Mrs. Gray. Kindly put this on our overall calendar. I got to get to that calendar here. So this is the one that's up. And this is what I was talking about. Don't turn this in. But if you want to get ready, you know, and you needed some extra work, go ahead. The only thing that's missing on there is section 3.2. So at the end of this little session, I'll talk about that at the end of this worksheet. But here's what we can do to help you for those that are severely behind. Pi over 6 and any over 6 is 30 degrees. Think about in class, Monday and Tuesday. You wrote sine of 30. Sine of pi over 6 was 1/2. Then all of the over 6s, you put a half because they're all the same reference angle. And then you just had to figure out what quadrants are negative. Sine of pi over 4 was √2 over 2. All of the over 4s have a sine value of √2 over 2. That's the point of writing this down, right? And then some of you are probably rolling your eyes. Yes, I know this. You know how many you that don't at this point? It's a lot. Wrong. That's a 60. So we're trying to synthesize this to get those that are lagging behind and not climbing that ladder. I apologize. That's why I wrote 30. I accidentally wrote 6 instead of 3. All right, get that on the video. Me making mistakes. See? The teacher doesn't know what he's doing. And then pi over 2 is 90. All this says is all over 2's end up on a y-axis. So pi over 2 is actually positive y-axis. 3 pi over 2 is negative y-axis. Any over 2 lands on either one. You got to figure out which one. And then you got to do different stuff there. And then pi equals 180. The only reason I want to say that is any odd pi would end up at 180 degrees. It's actually true. 9 pi is not 10 pi, which would be 5 revolutions, so it would end up at 180 degrees. 9 pi would be 4 revolutions and then a half turn. So we should have an idea about that. Okay, another thing that you should write down and actually get this figured out, what this tells you. This tells you who's positive in what quadrant. Good thing the pen didn't work there because I actually wrote the wrong letter there, but it didn't show up. So all students take calculus tells you what trig function is positive of angle measures in that quadrant. So sine of a quadrant 2 angle is positive. And you should have really hammered that down yesterday or the day before when we were talking about sine and cosine and filling out that chart. And if you're absent, you missed another day, and I did tape it, so it's up to you. Blah, 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 blah. One more thing, probably maybe not this, but I do want to remind you of what we started with in Chapter 1. Again, this is a Chapter 1 concept, the first time that I wrote Sir Kicks or Ticks. If you're still struggling with this, you are 3 chapters behind. Sir Kicks or Ticks, it's because the opposite side is always the y coordinate of the reference triangle. The adjacent side is always the x coordinate of the triangle. So just this should be in your brain. You're certainly not going to be able to have this in front of you on the test. And if you do, it's cheating and you'll get a 0. Of course, at Lockport, that turns into a 45. I don't know. You know, so this should be your brain. Like, this is what's imprinted in your brain going into the test tomorrow. Definitely for sure. Trying to think what else. I know one more thing for sure. I just don't want to make sure I don't forget anything. If you look at Mrs. Gray's notes, she actually references the unit circle and puts some coordinates. I really was harping on this triangle, which has been shared with you, I think, since Chapter 1. Right? So again, knowing the sides opposite 45 are 1. And then the side opposite 90 is root 2. And then a 30, 60, 90, you got to hide this. And then hide that. Side opposite the 30 is 1. Side opposite the 60 is root 3. And side opposite the 90 is 2. And I hope I haven't forgotten anything. This is really, and then when I do some questions, I'll remind myself if I did, but I don't think so. I think this is really the main crux and main idea of these kind of questions. So I guess my next thought was take a couple from these, and I'm going to change number 2. So if you actually do this assignment, keep this as is. I'll change it right now. I want to make this a little bit more of a challenge, but it really isn't that big of a deal. So I'm going to first talk about this one, if you care to partake. Do put this in the chat, though, some questions that I ask, but I'm not going to ask you this one first, or make you answer this. Where does this come from? Okay, so I changed this question. I made it a little bit more challenging so that you understood that this came from this. Because if you start marking sides with root 3 and 3, you are not going to recognize that as a 30, 60, 90. Next thing in the chat, put in order. Give me 5 seconds. What are these 2 letters in order, or write it as a fraction? 5, don't answer yet. 4, what are those 2 letters? 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. And then Natalie. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. 6 hour. They don't like to answer questions. Here we go. Now we're rolling. All right, Ryan, you didn't wait for everyone else, did you? And then copy their answers? Hope not. It's over. I'm going to highlight this right now and then wait for 5 seconds. What is the reference angle? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. And then I won't ask you this in the chat. We should know that this is in, and I'm going to mark this and why we know that this is in quadrant 2, from pi over 2 to pi. So I need a 30 in quadrant 2. Now, those that are severely behind, you're probably asking, why do we know that's a 30? Fine. It's in quadrant 2. It's because your triangle should look like this, and this is the y coordinate, and this is the x coordinate. Through the Pythagorean theorem, this would have to be 2. Those are the sides for a 30, 60, 90. And then, what is the reference angle? The one opposite the y coordinate all the time. That's why I don't have to draw the triangles anymore. All right, so it's a 30 in quadrant 2. Okay, I'm glad I drew this. And I'm not going to ask this in the chat because I have it up here. This is the cheat sheet. What's a 30? It's an over 6. Okay, but it's not just pi over 6. So it is an over 6. So when I go over here and I remind myself that this is pi, and I've done this a million times in the notes. Now I'm not asking anymore. Blank pi over 6? It's 6 pi over 6 is what's equal to pi. So jump backwards, and it's 5 pi over 6. You don't need that unit circle in front of you anymore. All right, we should be able to accomplish this in this way. Ooh, nice. What is this one? Okay, so 0 over, don't put it in the chat. We should know that we have to create this 1. It's 0 over 1. That's still mathematically sound. So it is 0 over 1. But wait. And it is a tangent again, so I don't have to re-ask you what's these letters. They're the same as the last one. But wait. Mathematically, this could be a problem not understanding this. This is a special case. Mathematically, that could be 0 over positive or negative 1, and x could be positive or negative. So we actually have 2 possibilities. By the way, in the chat, I'm interested to see this. Get ready. What is r equal to? 5, don't answer. 4, 3, Natalie, Alexander, 2, Colin, 1. I should write all 4. Ryan again. Ryan did it twice. Like, yeah, Mr. Samuels, enter. 1. They didn't wait for the time. Oh, well. Guess they were eager. So where does this occur? 1, 0. See, 1 for x, 0 for y. Oh, okay. Or negative 1, 0. So this is tricky. This is tricky. Understanding that it's not just 0 over 1. It could be 0 over plus or minus 1. So in the classic sense, what we used to do is ask all answers, and all answers would have been 0 and pi. Which one of these answers fits this little interval where I'm supposed to be answering things? By the way, 2 pi is equal to 0, so does that mean I should have wrote 2 pi? Nope. This is the one that fits that interval. That's what that bracket means. That's a little trickier. I don't think we're going to ask maybe a question quite like that, but it should be allowed. But that is a bit tricky, reminding yourself what a bracket and a parenthesis means in interval notation. Okay, I was going to skip to one more of these because these are the toughest, and I was going to go down here with one of these specials again. I think this one we should really know how to do at this point. You saw that ratio 8 times yesterday, graphing sine and graphing cosine, right? Right. Same thing, negative 1 over, now don't put it in the chat, it's 1. Okay, then in the chat, in order, what are these 2 letters? In 5, 4, 3, 2, Natalie again, 1, 0. Ooh, was she right, by the way? Uh-oh. Nice. Got a couple R over Y's, and then some people are chiming in after that. It is R over Y. Okay, and then just knowing that, back up to Sir Kicks or Ticks. You know, knowing that, and I'm not going to write this down, but sine, I guess I could. Sine is related to cosecant. There's only one co in that reciprocal relationship. So sine and cosecant. Cosine and secant. Tangent, and of course, cotangent. How could we miss that? So what that means is cosecant is R over Y. So that's why you still write Sir on your test. You literally, on tomorrow's test, write this down. That'd be the only thing you should really need. And then just making sure you don't screw up, who's related to that. But anywho, actually that negative's in the wrong spot then. And then I won't ask in the chat. This is a very similar situation. But this is why this is true. -1 squared plus x squared equals r squared. Of course, x would have to equal 0. This is why we have, oops, nice. This is why we have, you know, a special situation here. And this is not like the last one. There is actually only one answer. Where do you get 0 for x and -1 for y and r equals negative, or r equals 1, sorry, right there, which is 3 pi over 2. And then look at that interval. This barely fits that interval because we're allowing 3 pi over 2 as an answer with that bracket. So don't worry about that too much. A special scenario can be an issue. Then when you look at this, you know, I don't know if you want to go through it and test yourself and then look at your the answers Mrs. Gray has posted. Great stuff. Really only feel like doing one of these, and I think the one I did in the other hour was this one, 19. I just wanted to do one that was bigger than 180. What? Bigger than 360 or bigger than 2 pi. Sorry, brain mishap there. So 9 pi over 4, just to speed this up, you should know that that's 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi plus pi over 4. At this point, after yesterday's worksheet, you should already know what the answer is. Because this is in quadrant 1, 8 pi over 4 goes that way, and then pi over 4 goes that far. In cosine of 45, you've written this, well, you wrote it 4 times yesterday, either positive or negative, depending on where cosine was. Right? That's my point about this. This should be getting fast for those that are actually doing the homework. Really should. But, you know, your fallback, if you're a little behind, is 1 root 2. 1 root 2 is true. And it's x over r. So that becomes 1 over root 2, which rationalizes to root 2 over 2. Okay. Just remember that this is any over 2 ends up on a y-axis. Where does this end up landing? 4 pi over 2 plus pi over 2. It lands here, my pen. So this is up, and then that's when you write a coordinate 0, 1. Okay, don't make that mistake. Don't make it 1, 0. Understand it's 0 right and left, up 1. Stop making those mistakes. Ooh, cotangent, x over y. Also, this is a no credit. I'm telling you right now, I gave you that matching thing on the calendar to match what's going on the test, and it's all or nothing. If you don't know 0 over 1 is 0, and you write undefined and select that on the matching, you're gone. No partial credit. I think it's time for that. I've seen this, we've written this too many times in the notes to still be making that mistake on the no calculator part. Okay, so it's a note to self there. All right, and then in the last thing, which is not on this worksheet, so I apologize for that, but I don't really feel bad about that at all. You know, I don't want to give you extra work anyway. This is optional. Go to this calendar and look at this thing. Page 2 on this review sheet. Holy crap, you got like too many of these questions. This is taking forever to open. So again, this goes back to those that don't do their homework. Of course, you're not going to be ready. But that's all of this. There's 20 questions. I think I assigned odds or something like that. I just didn't want you have to do the whole thing. And it's these two formulas. That's arc length, and that's area. And I know it's random. This is non-trig, but radians open up these formulas to be looked at differently. Let's just say it as an example. I made this up in the other hour. R equals 7 inches, and theta equals a trick, 112 degrees. These formulas only exist because of radians. So what I need to do is convert that into radians. What I did is, from even my last hours, I drew it. Ooh, it started off as a decent circle. And then this is 7. And then 112 degrees, we all could reasonably say that that looks kind of like 112 degrees. And that's also 7. And here's what S is. S is just this distance. Here's what A is. It's that space inside. So it's area of a sector. And I'll write that as A, just so you know, right, what we're actually finding. So S is simply R but it's not simple. You need to convert R into radians. So this isn't part of the formula. This is just knowing that the angle must be in radians, so I must use that conversion factor. And then A, it's the same problem. 1/2 R squared, Ben is not writing, 112 times pi over 180. Mrs. Fasola said, well, your pen's not writing, change your battery. I'm on my 5th battery this year. Why are the batteries going out in these pens so quick? Anyway, that's just old curmudgeon Mr. Samuelis having a little... All right, and then one more thing that'll be on the test, as I see we're done in 2 minutes here. No, I love it. It's not actually 2 minutes. We started at like 2 minutes later according to the time. But I love last hour. I had some people just right at their time frame. They leave the meeting. They're gone. Just love those mental notes. That's a big mental note to Mr. Samuels, who really gives a care and who doesn't. But anyway, what is this? And I don't have time for the chat. Ask yourself, is this an angle, 1.23, or is this a ratio? And the answer is it's an angle. Okay, so here's what you need to do, and I don't have time to share this calculator on the screen. Make sure you're in radians, okay? And then you just hit cosine of 1.23. And I just made up that as an angle measure. So that is an angle measure, and then the answer is a ratio. And then that's what you would write down. One problem is, what if you were asked secant of 123.23? The calculator problem, even though fancy 84s don't have a secant button. So this one is the one where you have to type 1 over cosine of 1.23. So we will have a little section of, can you type on your calculator correctly and write the right answer? All right, so that one is 1 over, and I'm not going to write that on my calculator. This one is tangent. I do have a tan button, but what do I type in order to solve this? Let's just keep saying 1.23 just because. You know what that is? That's actually a ratio. So what I have to type on this one is inverse tan. And just make sure my calculator's in radians. Mr. Samuelis, right or wrong, we'll be looking for the exact answer. 2, 3, that's my pen again. Here's the real big question. What happens if they say, now let's do CSC and get everyone, CSC of X equals, we can do 1.23. Ben's gone. There we go. I'm not even done with the notes. Ben has shown his true colors. Who else? Who else wants it? Alexander, I dare you. I dare you. All right? Love it. Love it. I put these mental notes and then say when Ben asks for something, I go, hey, Ben, remember that time where you left class? Just because, you know, high times. Huh? Oh, he's back. Is he back? All right, good. This is all in the video. So this one, it's the calculator's problem. They don't give you a cosecant button. I don't know why. So what you have to do is trick yourself and answer whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So you 1 over both sides because 1 over cosecant is sine. So remember, you 1 over this side, and now you inverse sine. It's not the same as this one. This is inverse sine of 1 over 1.23, the whole fraction. Okay, now we're done. No tricks. If you want to have any questions, feel free to ask me. Hasta la bye-bye. See you for the test tomorrow. Good times. Trying to stop sharing. I love how long it takes for me to figure this out.